Welcome to KOT Aero, knowledge on tap for the aerospace industry. Subscribe for free at kotaero.com. All right, let's dive into it.
All right, everybody, buckle up because we are going deep today. Deep into GE Aerospace's Q3 2024 earnings report. This is their latest filing, fresh from the SEC, and let me tell you, it's a wild ride.
Yeah, you know what I find fascinating about this particular report? It's like they're walking a tightrope, trying to find balance between, keeping up with this crazy industry and betting big on the future at the same time.
So we're talking record profits, but also some serious production hurdles. It's like they're drowning in cash, but they can't make those engines fast enough.
Exactly, a real head scratcher, right? Okay, so get this total revenue for Q3, a cool $9.8 billion. That's a 6% jump compared to last year. But hold on, because the profit margin, now that's the real shocker.
Don't hold out on me. What are we?
19.2%.
Wow.
Yeah. $1.9 billion profit.
So what's the deal? Did they stumble onto some magic formula for a super engine?
Not quite a magic formula, but remember those spin-offs a while back? GE Healthcare, AirCap.
Right.
Well, they're still reaping the benefits from those investments. That's where a chunk of this profit surge comes from.
Okay, so it's not just the engines themselves, but smart financial moves, too. But they're still actually manufacturing those engines, too, right?
Absolutely. But that's where those production headaches come in. Think about it. Airlines are scrambling for new planes, which means they need new engines yesterday. And GE Aerospace is struggling to keep pace. Supply chain issues, you know how it is.
It's like trying to order a coffee at peak hour, right? Lines out the door, even if the coffee's amazing, you're still waiting.
Perfect analogy. And just like that coffee shop trying to manage the morning rush, GE Aerospace is pouring money into their manufacturing and supply chain. They're trying to scale up, but it's not easy.
So they're caught in this weird limbo, right? Raking it in, but struggling to keep up with demand.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have, at least for the time being. Gives them some breathing room to focus on the future, which is probably why they're dumping so much cash into R&D, especially in sustainable aviation tech. That's where things get really interesting.
Okay, now you're speaking my language.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about here? Electric planes. Flying cars. Give me the futuristic rundown.
Whoa, slow down. No flying cars just yet, but we are talking next-gen jet engines. They've got this program, the CFM International RISE program, and they're developing some really cool stuff. Open fan engines, compact cores, hybrid electric systems, all designed with alternative fuels in mind.
So not ditching jet fuel entirely, but making it cleaner, more efficient, like swapping out your old gas guzzler for a sleek new hybrid. Still gets you from point A to point B, but with a much smaller impact.
Exactly. And this isn't just some far-off dream either. This report actually mentions that they're gearing up for dust ingestion tests on their open fan engine design.
Dust ingestion tests. Sounds messy. You think they have a whole team dedicated to cleaning that up? But in all seriousness, that's a good sign, right? Means they're moving from theory to reality.
Exactly. They're putting their money where their mouth is. But look, it's not all about the distant future. They're also laser-focused on keeping investors happy, strong credit rating, big returns through dividends, and share buybacks. They're checking all the boxes.
Smart move. Got to keep those shareholders happy. Anything else stand out to you on the financial side of things?
Well, they're definitely open to mergers and acquisitions. They even say so right in the report. To me, that says they're actively looking for opportunities. Things that fit with their long-term strategy and can really boost their existing business.
Always good to keep your options open. All right, let's dive into the specifics a bit. We know they have those two main segments, commercial engines and services and defense and propulsion technologies. How are those shaping up?
Let's tackle the commercial side first. Revenue there is up a solid 8% year over year. They hit $7 billion. Not surprisingly, a lot of that growth is coming from the resurgence in air travel. More people flying means more demand for planes, which translates to more demand for engines. It's a domino effect.
Makes sense. But I'm guessing those supply chain issues we talked about earlier are putting a damper on things.
Yeah, you could say that. It's a real bottleneck for them. They just can't churn out those new engines fast enough to meet the demand. They're investing heavily to fix it, but it's an uphill battle.
It's like having a blockbuster movie, but not enough screens to show it on. All that potential, but you're leaving money on the table.
You got it. But here's the thing. Their services business is doing just fine. Remember all those long-term service agreements they have with airlines? The maintenance, the repairs, the spare parts? That's a consistent moneymaker for them. And it takes some of the pressure off while they deal with these production issues.
It's like that reliable side hustle that keeps the lights on, even when your main gig is going through a rough patch. So even if they can't crank out enough new engines, those service contracts keep the cash flowing.
What about the defense side of the house? How are things looking over there? Defense and propulsion technologies saw some growth too, but not as much. They're up 2%, reaching $2.2 billion in revenue. A lot of that is driven by, well, global instability. Countries around the world are boosting their military budgets, modernizing their forces, and that means they need new engines.
A rising tide of geopolitical tension, unfortunately. But it does create opportunities for companies like GE Aerospace. Did they highlight any specific wins in this report?
They did. They snagged a $1.1 billion contract to supply T-700 series engines to the U.S. Army.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, and they also delivered 2 T-901 GE900 engines to Sikorsky. Those are going to be used in the upgraded Black Hawk helicopters.
Okay, so we're talking about some serious hardware here. Those Black Hawks are the workhorse of the U.S. Army's helicopter fleet. Keeping those things in the air is a big deal.
Absolutely. And these wins, they really underscore how important GE Aerospace is to the defense industry. They're juggling both the commercial and defense sides of the business, all while trying to stay ahead of the curve on technology. It's impressive, actually.
It's a lot to process, right? You've got this company swimming in profits, but they're also dealing with these very real production challenges. It kind of reminds you that even giants like GE Aerospace, they can't escape things like supply chain disruptions.
It really puts things into perspective. And then there's the whole long game they're playing with sustainable aviation, these new engine technologies. It's exciting stuff, but it takes time. It's not like they can just flip a switch and suddenly everything is different.
Exactly. And all while they're keeping those Black Hawk helicopters flying high. What was the most surprising thing you found in the report?
You know, it was that push and pull, the tension between the here and now and the what-ifs of the future. They're focused on keeping those planes in the air and fulfilling those big defense contracts, obviously. But they're also pouring resources into things that might not pay off for another decade or more. That's a tough line to walk.
It makes you think about all those external factors, those things they can't control, right? What happens if the global economy takes a hit? Or if oil prices suddenly spike? Their whole business is tied to those bigger trends.
Absolutely. And that's why this deep dive, it's just the tip of the iceberg, really.
Yeah.
You got to look beyond the surface, connect the dots, and really consider those outside forces that can make or break even the best laid plans.
Couldn't agree more. So to anyone listening who wants to dig deeper, this 10Q report, it's your treasure map. It might seem dense, I'll admit, but it's like a crash course in how this whole industry works.
Well said. It shows you just how interconnected everything is. GE Aerospace's success isn't just about, building powerful engines. It's about navigating a complex web of economics, geopolitics, and cutting-edge technology.
It really makes you wonder, what will their next quarterly report reveal? Until then, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of GE Aerospace. We'll catch you next time.